I got something, well, kind of funny, but not funny in a way, uh, to talk about. You know, when I talk about, like, when the chickens started trying to crow the other morning and I didn't know what the hell that racket was and I got up, things like that, they go bump in the night. You know, if you don't know what it is, the first gun I grab is always this 351 Winchester. I keep that loaded all the time. It's not a light gun, but it's short, it's handy, and though, you know, a lot of people complain about that, the way the action works, you know, that they have to charge it like that. I've shot it so much I'm used to it, it's pretty intuitive to me. So I grab this and stick a 10-round mag in my back pocket. If I got a pocket, which I didn't the other night. But that's generally what I do. You know, if there's something making noise, I figure, okay, this is going to kind of cover it for this close in the yard kind of situation. Well, okay, I'm leading up to a story here. This morning when I went out on a road grader, the grader's over at my brother's, and I parked the M37, got in the grader, warmed it up, and I see this little red car go by. You know, a little Taurus or something like that, you know. But it wasn't familiar. And out in the country, you kind of watch, you know, for if something's not familiar. Okay, who could this be? What are they, you know? Then it went down the road, and then it turned around and went back, and, you know, and the car really was going on a road that it shouldn't be going on. You know, that the car wasn't made for that kind of road. Yeah, there's a chicken. Try it again. But I'm used to it now. And it puzzled me a little bit. And then when I go out on the grader, a couple of miles from there, I say, it ain't a crow, that's a holler. Well, a neighbor comes out and stops me, and he said, did you see anything on that back road, any abandoned vehicles or anything? And I said, no. Well, here they had, the middle of the night, they've got a shop there, and there's a kitchen in there and stuff, and one of the hired men stays there, which you almost have to if you got something like that, or somebody will take everything in the joint. Well, middle of the night, he hears something thrashing around in the kitchen. Well, he goes out there, here's a guy, dug some hot dogs out of the freezer, and he's cooking himself some hot dogs. Well, it turned out here it was this, evidently a pickup with a bunch of meth heads in it, and they got stuck. And this guy took off to try to get some help. Well, he walked like 2 miles. And it says that this country right now is very full of mosquitoes, and that's a pretty rough country. So he said, no shirt, no shoes. The guy hiked over there and made himself a hot dog. Well, then he called somebody to come and pick him up. And they did, but the problem was, in the meantime, when he's waiting for this sister or something to come pick him up, you know, the whole story is weird, little disjointed thing. Well, here he goes out and he's trying to get like a truck or something started that's sitting in the yard, because evidently he was going to steal a truck and then go and try to pull this pickup out where the other meth heads were sitting waiting, in theory. But somehow or another he got picked up by somebody's sister, who evidently bitched out that hired man for some reason. I don't know. The whole thing, you know, you can't think logically with these people. But so then the guy said, okay, so there's one of them that got picked up, but there was still 2 or maybe 3, they weren't really sure, out there someplace. And that's what this car was doing this morning, was cruising around trying to find these lost meth heads. And I thought that had to be a long damn night with, you know, mosquitoes chewing on you all night. But this morning, evidently, they turned up over at a different neighbor. They must have got tired of waiting for the other guy, who, of course, was gone. And they evidently didn't get the hot dogs, and they were hungry. So they walked over to a feedlot that was a little over a mile, probably closer to 2 miles away. They were walking around out in the feedlot. Well, the guy who owns the feedlot got a little rattled, and he called the cops on him. So the sheriff was out looking for these lost, wandering meth heads. But then I had to call my brother to tell him, okay, so we got these meth heads wandering around. I had parked the M37 with, a shotgun and a couple of pistols sitting there, just out of view of his house. I figured, okay, pull it up into the yard, because, wandering crazed meth heads is one thing they don't need firearms too. So he did that. But, I haven't, the cops must have rounded him up because I haven't heard anything more from them. But that is the thing, you think out in the country that, you're pretty safe, but that shit just comes out to the country. You have problems, like the guy, his shop, the guy is staying in there because otherwise people break into it and people will steal anything and get their hands on. He said the one morning, it was in the middle of winter, it was cold, and he went out, and here his pickup is sitting out on the road, a diesel pickup, where it had been in the shop. Somebody had started it up, tried to drive it away, got that far, and the fuel gelled on it. The diesel will gel in winter, it was that cold. So they left it laying in the middle of the road. But that's why, people can turn up, like I have no idea, these meth heads wandering around. Hopefully they rounded them all up, but, I'll be prepared if there's a noise in the middle of the night again. But it is something else. But that's the same, that road is the same road that earlier this year, here I find an ATM laying in a ditch. Somebody had stolen an ATM, brought it out there, busted it open and run off with the cash. But here laid this beat up ATM, so I had to call the sheriff and they sent somebody out to collect the ATM. But it's weird stuff, especially on our back roads back here, on roads that are really minimum maintenance roads. It happens a lot of times even where all of a sudden you find out, oh yeah, somebody was running a meth lab back in some patch in a corner someplace that nobody ever went. That happens every once in a while. Even I know a church where they found out that somebody was actually going down in the basement, in the kitchen in the basement of the church and cooking meth down there. Well, then you got, hazardous cleanup on your damn church to get rid of this meth stuff. But that's funny. It's funny, but, if you hear a noise in the middle of the night, not so funny. But that's why, 351, perfect for that. But, I'm sure what they're trying to do was to steal some vehicle to pull that other vehicle out. Because I went and looked at it. They were trying to go up this, it was after rain, a long clay hill, really slippery, washed out on the side. They got it over and they hung her right up on the frame. So I don't know how they got somebody out there to drag them off of that hill, or maybe the sheriff's department did it, I don't know. But hopefully they rounded them up. Because that's the last thing you need running around loose. But it is a thing you got to kind of be prepared for, because those things happen. People were close enough to the biggest city in the state, like 40 miles, to come out this far to do their mischief. So you got to be prepared for them. But I just can't imagine being out all night and all the mosquitoes. That had to be and walk 2 miles with no shoes and no shirt and the mosquitoes. That had to be a lot of fun.